How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the podcast. In today's episode, I'm actually going to be doing a product review. This episode is not sponsored, and it actually answers a question that I've been getting as to why I've not been doing episodes relating more towards my daughter. They've been leaning a lot more towards my son. So today, we're going to dedicate an episode to my daughter, and one of the things that we've been giving her as she's been getting older and her appetite has been growing. So this episode is about Once Upon a Farm products. They're smoothies that we've just recently purchased for our daughter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So Once Upon a Farm is a smoothie product that my wife came across in the store as we're trying to expand on our daughter's diet a little bit more. She's got a lot more teeth. She's starting to eat eggs for breakfast, scrambled and chopped up very, very tiny, but we want to introduce a little bit more flavor. And with our son, we would do things like steaming vegetables, butternut squash, what other things, like just vegetables in general. And then we'd put them in a food processor and create food like that, which is what we also do for our daughter. But this time around, we're actually stepping a little bit outside of the norm with what we did for him and trying a little bit different things. So this Once Upon a Farm is like a smoothie in a little pouch that kids are able to take and squeeze. And my daughter, she makes a complete and total mess of things when she has one of these. So one of the things that we do is we'll go ahead and squeeze a majority of it out into a bowl and then give her just a little bit to work with, to get used to the packaging, to get used to going ahead and eating some of this stuff on her own. Now, we started out with a different brand because we wanted her to have more prunes, more fiber in her diet. And she really enjoyed this whole packaged meal kind of delivery system. So again, my wife came across this Once Upon a Farm, which is also co-founded, I think, by Jennifer Garner. And it's interesting to see like some of these celebrities getting involved as they have children of their own with and backing a lot of these children products. So I think it's Jessica Alba. I don't know if she's the founder, the creator of the Honest Brand juice that we purchased for our kids. And again, this Once Upon a Farm stuff, we're at the stage 2 pouches. So there's different stages that they suggest. And it looks like, I'm looking at their website now, stage 1 is 5 months plus. There's prune cups, like little baby food cups. So you can get prunes, carrots, sweet potatoes, a variety pack. You can also purchase the pouches with a little twist cap that comes off, and in there it's like a smoothie. They have mango, pears, sweet potato, butternut squash, and then my wife and our daughter is on the 7-month plus, which is stage 2, and they say on their website it's more adventurous flavors at their stage 2 blends. The same sort of stuff though. So you get pineapple, you get blueberry, strawberry, pear, and carrot. And in the pouches, there's avocado, which is kind of interesting. I mean, straight up guac and pineapple, it looks like. We've not tried that one, or our daughter's not tried it. Then there's like a veggie medley, which looks like it has a ginger and beets. And that one actually looks pretty good. We've got the green kale and apples, which I've actually tried myself because as a parent, baby food does not look that appealing. A lot of the things that I want to say might be the stigma with purchasing just baby food that sits on the shelf is the fact that it's just that. It sits on the shelf. There's a ton of preservatives that allows it to stay unrefrigerated. And rightly so, they want to ensure that they can just stock the shelves and not take up refrigerator space in the grocer. Now, this product it does not sit on the shelves. You have to purchase it from the refrigerator section or the cold section of your grocery store. And because of that, I believe that there's less preservatives. They say that there's a lot less processing too, that it's cold pressed and the vegetables and things like that are never heated. I know that for myself, when it comes to dieting and juicing or even creating smoothies at home, whenever you heat up vegetables, you boil off or you burn off a lot of the healthy nutrients that are within that vegetable. So the fact that they don't do this ensures that your child is getting a lot of nutrients, is getting a lot of those vitamins and vegetables required for growing healthy and strong. Again, I mentioned that I've tried this myself. I'm feeding my daughter. She's just like chomping at the bit. She wants more, and she makes it look like it tastes very good. So putting my stigma aside from all these on-the-shelf products, I figure, you know what? This is something different. This is something that sounds pretty good on paper, at least. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. And sure enough, it's almost the same as what we do already, how we buy fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and we try to process these things and make a food that our children can eat while they're learning to eat. So this, for one, takes some of the, I guess, the busy work out of it, because we're able to just purchase a pouch of these smoothies. And secondly, it, at least per their mission statement, it's a much healthier process than at least the food that I was given when I was growing up. I mean, I was fed food that was right off the shelf. And yes, I survived and this, that, and the other, whatever. But I mean, you kind of want to have that peace of mind, or at least we want to have that peace of mind when we're feeding our children, that we're giving them something that's, I refrain from saying good, because it is good and a lot of food is good. But I guess my wife's family, or at least her mom, everything was fresh. Very seldom would they ever eat leftovers. Her mom would go shopping, prep, cook, all the food fresh. And in a Guatemalan household, when you're making things like salsas, you're not purchasing it from a jar. She's actually getting all the ingredients required to make salsa. She's getting all the ingredients required to make each dish. Myself growing up, it's like if we want a salsa, we just grabbed a jar off the shelf at the grocery store. Preservatives and GMOs be darned. It's like, whatever. We didn't really think about it. However, when my wife brings that sort of mentality into my life, now I'm thinking about those types of things. I'm thinking about trying to put some of the more healthier foods in front of my children and steering clear of maybe some of the things that I grew up with, because I was always a heavyset kid growing up, and I don't want to introduce a lot of just foods that are packed full of preservatives, or packed full of sugars and high sodiums and high carbs. I want them to have something that at least can try to meet the standard of their grandmother and what she would bring to the table for her kids. And that is something that is fresh. That is something that is not packed full of tons of preservatives. And I'm pretty happy with this product so far. We've purchased 2 pouches, as I said before, the green kale and apples. And then the other one was a blueberry. So it has blueberries, and it looks as if it has, I don't know if that's yams, sweet potato, and then maybe a hint of apple is in that as well. But these are for the 7-month plus. When we get to the 9-month stage and up, it looks like there's a few more flavorful packages that are introduced. At least in the cups, there's squash, and then there's a beet cup, beet and basil with strawberry. And then in the pouches, they continue that with something a little bit more along the lines of things you might actually find in a smoothie shop, like strawberry banana, apples and pears. Looks like it has some oats mixed into this other one. And then mango coconut. So, and then they also have apple sauces. And oh no, it's not the blueberry one, just straight up. We actually purchased the apple blueberry, and that's an applesauce package. And that's actually the one that I tried. That one, that's a really good, that's a really good package. But I'm on their website now because yes, we purchased this, but for me, I also want to do the legwork. I also want to kind of look into these things. Like, I don't just want to purchase these things for our children and then not know about it a little bit more. So, for one, it says, I'm reading on their website, Why Fresh, which is a tab that kind of explains a little bit more. So, one is pick. Every ingredient that they use is sustainably grown, certified USDA organic, non-GMO product verified, and can be traced right back to the source. Now, this is something that I read with a grain of salt. Anything that says non-GMO, USDA organic, you have to understand that there is a minimum that you have to meet as a grower in order to consider it organic. So the product may not be 100% organic. There may still be some other things involved, maybe a pesticide that is allowable, maybe even a GMO that is allowable. So even though it says non or organic or all these other things like non-GMOs or organic, it's never going to be 100%. So there's always read those with a grain of salt. It does mean that it's not processed in the same way or farmed in the same way as products that are non-organic or are not organic or that use GMOs. Two is blend. Once their fruits and veggies come from the farm, they blend them just as you would at home and add in nutrient dense good fats like quinoa, coconut oil, flaxseed, and avocado. And there's a link to check out the recipes, but for time's sake, I'll read that on my own, not on the podcast. And then press. They cold press their blends with the added magic of cold pressure HPP to lock in nutrients, taste, and texture of farm fresh organic ingredients so that they're extra safe for your little ones. Now, I've tried cold pressed juice and I've tried cold pressed smoothies. I don't know if it's juice or smoothie, but I've tried to cold press something and it does taste a little bit different. It has a richer, more bolder flavor to it, but it doesn't last very long. So we're not going to be buying these products in bulk. We'll be purchasing them maybe on a weekly basis. So every time we go to the store, we'll pick up a couple. We're not going to be picking up like a Costco pallet size container of this because, again, our daughter right now, she's eating maybe half of these at a time. And you have to read the packaging very clearly. They do say that once you get it, bring it home, put it in the refrigerator. Once you take it out of the refrigerator, don't re-refrigerate it. Or if you're taking a trip, you can bring these, but be sure to put it in a cooler, pack it with some extra ice blocks or something like that, because the product, I don't know if it may spoil or whatever it is. You can serve them warm, but again, that's out of the fridge into a pot of warm water to warm it up. Give it to your child. Don't put this in your cupboard. And then the farm tab, it looks as if there's just either the farm or the farms that they're farming or getting these fruits from. And yeah, they have the Meet the Farm family, the founder and CEO, John Foraker, or co-founder and CEO. And it's interesting. They're all just baby pictures or pictures of them when they were kids. And Jennifer Garner, the co-founder, chief brand officer. And I don't really know what these people look like because it is just all pictures of them as babies. And they do have a nutrition expert that works with them. And yeah, it just looks very interesting. I'm always excited to see some of these newer products come about and the approach that they take. Because again, the way that we do things as parents now for our children, we always want to make a spin on it and try to do it maybe a little bit better, or maybe a little bit different than the way it was when we were growing up. As kids, when I was a child, this was during the age of like, coming off the coattails of instant meals, TV dinners. I mean, you have to think generationally now. So way back in the day, maybe there was no baby food that you can buy in the store. You had to make it yourself. And then we switch gears, and now there's things like TV dinners because there's not enough time to prep an entire meal for your family. So just throw it in the microwave, throw it in the oven. And with that, you have things like baby foods in jars that are just sitting on the shelf. And this whole idea, I think, culturally, of having a food that can sit on the shelf and can remain fresh for a long period of time, or at least not spoil for a long period of time, really appealed to people who may not have been able to get out to the store as much. So they were solving a lot of the issues that people were having at that time. But now we fast forward to today, and people think to themselves, well, let's take a look at all these preservatives. Let's take a look at all of these sugars and all of these other things that make it so appealing for kids. And let's take a look back to when our grandparents were children, or their parents were children. And what were they doing? They were cooking food fresh. They were blending it up, mashing it up, doing whatever that they did at the time to create a baby food for them. And again, this is something that my wife grew up with. This is something that my wife's mother had introduced. Like I don't think I grew up eating foods that were prepped on the stove, put into a food processor, blended up, and had homemade baby food. So I remember hearing that. I was eating Gerber. I was eating, just the baby foods that were coming out of the jars. And it's interesting to me because, not to bash on it, but I walk down those aisles and I see some of these newer foods and some of the appeal, at least the label appeal of farm fresh, of non-GMO or organic, or the way that it's processed and the care that they put into the product. And yes, it does mean it's a little bit more expensive because of that. But when I look at the jarred foods, the foods that are coming in these glass jars, like the chicken hot dog thing, that to me just looks nasty. I wouldn't eat that myself. Let's just put it that way. And if I'm not going to eat it, why do I want to feed that to our daughter? Why do I want to feed that to our kids? So again, this is non-sponsored. It really sounds like I'm talking it up, but I've tried it myself. It's something that we bought for them. She made it look really good. And I gave it a shot. I took the little baby spoon, a little munchy spoon, gave it a little taste, and it was really good. So that's just something to think about as well, that if you can't eat it yourself, why would you feed it to your kids? Again, y'all are going to do what you want to do. I understand that time for a lot of parents is quite a commodity, that not everybody has the time to prep food over the stove. Not everybody has the time to get out to the store maybe every week. Sometimes it's every 2 weeks, regardless of depending on how you get paid or how much time you have on the weekends. If you even have time on the weekends, that going to the store could even be when you have the time. But I say, give something like this a shot. It doesn't have to be this brand exactly, but give a brand that puts the time into preparing the foods in a more natural way, in a less processed way, and that uses products like fruits and vegetables that are less processed, that are grown, maybe not 100% organically, but at least a little bit more organically than some of the fruits and vegetables that we purchase for ourselves. Because I know that for me, I'm not going to eat organic. That stuff's expensive. But for my kids, I will spend that money. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's my first episode for our daughter. I don't know why. I mean, I suppose I don't do more of these for her because at the age that she is right now, it's kind of like we're experiencing a lot of the things that we've already experienced with our son. And with that being said, it's like I don't feel like there's stories to really share just yet. Her personality, it is developing and it is beginning to grow, but it's at a little bit of a different point in terms of growth. It's not like something I'm talking to everybody about, like, oh, she's doing this or she's doing that. It's kind of like this is what babies do. Whereas our son, there's tons of personality. There's weird conversations that we're having now as father and son. And I'm excited to get to that point with our daughter. I had taken pictures of the two of them yesterday. I broke out, the big camera. Usually we take just iPhone photos, but I broke out the big camera and decided, you know what, I've got to take a little bit more pictures of these kids more often. And it was really kind of a sad moment when I look back at the pictures. Like I took the pictures and I look at the back of the camera and I'm telling myself, man, they're already looking like I can see the hints of the adults that they are going to become, looks wise at least. And I can see that time has already to fast forward in a sense. And so it kind of took me on a mini emotional ride because the time is fleeting. They're not going to be this age much longer. They're going to continue to grow up and eventually they're going to be telling us that they're ready to move out. So I thanked my wife. I thanked her for our children. It's something that I've made apparent to everybody that I talk to and to her that for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to have children. I've always wanted to be a father and to have two. Anybody that says keep going, have three, y'all do you. I just wanted two. I'm done. I don't want any more children. If we do ever entertain the idea of a third, my wife and I had this conversation. We would adopt. We wouldn't go through the whole let's get pregnant process. So I made sure to thank her because clearly biologically, I couldn't do this without her. And they are who they are because of her. And so it was something that I'm really excited about, that I'm really happy about. So I'll leave it there. I just really wanted to do an episode for her, for our daughter, and a product that we've been giving to her and that we'll actually be continuing to give to her. So Once Upon a Farm, Smoothies. Give it a shot if you haven't already. And yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. Until next time, see ya.